Hi, my name is Tebucho Nkapo, Cape Town, South Africa. I was born in Cape Town in the mid 80s. That was close to the end of apartheid, the beginning of democracy. As many of you might know, democracy started in 1994 with the first democratic elections, first black president of South Africa being President Nelson Mandela. I was quite fortunate enough to be in Cape Town or born in Cape Town. Fortunate in the sense that I wasn't in the homelands. My mother was working and playing off as colored, which is why Afrikaans is a first language to us at home and not our mother tongue. Although my mother is Xhosa, my father is Swati, we are quite multilingual. Uh, Grateful for that as well, because out of 11 official languages we've got in the country, at least, we are fluent in three of those. Um, Memories of apartheid. They weren't all that bad. Well, for me, because being in Cape Town and speaking Afrikaans fluently, I sort of passed off as colored, though I had a darker complexion. But the real experience was, where I really noticed the difference was when my mother took us to the Eastern Cape, which is the homeland, and none of the kids would want to play with me because I didn't speak the same language as them. I was fluent first language in Afrikaans, and they were speaking their home language, which was supposed to be my mother tongue, isiXhosa, and language barrier, and that just isolated me from the rest of them. And while later in the years I started, I'm trying to learn my mother language, which is a little bit tough because I only started learning it at the age of 7, which is probably one of the apartheid things. You could say brainwash that you think Afrikaans is the superior language, or a certain language is the superior language, and that is it. Because at school we were taught in Afrikaans, and I mean, I stuck with Afrikaans even after democracy, where subjects were offered in English. And because I was so used to Afrikaans, I decided not to change. What's the point? I'm already fluent in this one in English, which wasn't an easy language for me to learn. I only started speaking English fluently probably later in my high school years because everything was in Afrikaans.
Nakwe, Mr. Prinsloo of the Native Affairs Department told me in Pretoria this week that the African accepts and wants apartheid as a stage of development.
Well,
Do you, sir, agree?
Well, Mr. Prinsloo's information and mine, and I can claim to be slightly more informed than Mr. Prinsloo because I live among the Africans, and I am an African, cannot be quite correct at all. The African people are realizing that apartheid means nothing else but oppression and exploitation to them. If Mr. Prinsloo's contention is correct, then why do we have the unrest in the countryside, in the most backward areas of the country? If Mr. Prinsloo's information is also correct, then why do we have the deposition of chiefs? Why do we have the government agents moving around in the rural areas to find out what is going on? If the people were so contented, surely it wouldn't be necessary to have so many agents watching over them.
I did all my subjects in Afrikaans, in mathematics, geography, history, business economics. I mean, just everything I did in Afrikaans, and it was quite easy for me to do it in Afrikaans than in English. There was, though, one incident, one bad memory, about 2 or 3 of them. I remember we were still living in Philippi, which is in the Cape Flats. And this one evening, I think they were still called blowback. guys in blue uniform, these long jackets, just out of the blue, in the middle of the night, knocking on the door, just kicking the door, and all of us were asleep, and they were just ransacking the place with torches, and you don't know what they were looking for, but they were just stripping the house down for no apparent reason. And we were so little to understand, what is really going on. But those are like one of those experiences of apartheid. I remember this one time in Hout Bay as well. You just had these huge bulldozer type of police vans, and they were still yellow at that time. And they were just shooting tear gas, and we failed to understand what is going on. How long it was, it was people protesting against something. I can't remember because I was still little to remember. Yeah, it's kind of those memories, but they they're not that deep because we didn't really understand, what the purpose of that was at that time. All we enjoyed was our handmade toys, playing in the streets, which was quite safer back then. Well, things have definitely changed since apartheid. I think there's more freedom of expression, freedom to move wherever you want to be. Like in the apartheid, for example, in the apartheid era, most black people were isolated, were exiled to the Eastern Cape, and all the beauty, which is Cape Town, was left to all white, the minority. And since democracy is after apartheid, people felt free to move to the bigger states, Joburg and Cape Town, without having to carry a dom pass. Oh, dom pass means a stupid pass, and that is a pass that every black person had to carry back in the days of apartheid. And if you were caught in a certain section of the country, area of the country, and you do not have that certain pass that allows you to be in that particular area, you were basically thrown in jail. And who knows what goes on in jail? Probably tortured. You kept without trial, that sort of thing. Those are the type of things that Nelson Mandela, our current president, also Jacob Zuma, were in jail for. And most others were exiled to different countries within Africa and as far as abroad, like most of our musicians. People would probably know people like names like Miriam Makeba and all that. I guess after apartheid, the new South Africa, where youth, whether black or white, they just get along at most. Much easier than back in the days. We party together, we work together. There's a lot of up and coming black success stories. People in powerful positions actually doing things, doing positive things in the country. Young people traveling the world, moving out of townships, living in the big cities, which were impossible back in the days. We've got development, mostly education. It's a lot of educated, but that still does not outnumber our current fight for education, having giving them schooling, because a lot of them end up in drugs as well. As good as the number is for those that do go to varsity and get a degree or get a great job, having the opportunity to travel, the same amount are the ones that do not have those opportunities in present South Africa to an education, to health, facilities within the country. So that is still a fight in the new democracy, that we're going through.